Good morning, Washington. How do you like me in my hoodie today, huh? No, this isn't a political statement. Geez, I never thought wearing a hoodie would be a political statement. I'm wearing it because it's cold. I turned off the heat, in March, thinking, okay, it was 85 degrees in March, and I'm thinking it's summer, right? So I turn off the heat, and of course, here comes mid-April, and it's like 30 degrees in the morning, and it's cold in here, and I'm like, I ain't turning the damn heat on again. Once I don't know, maybe it's a guy thing, but once I take that switch and push it over to off the heat, it doesn't get moved back. I say, nope. I'm not gonna be a wuss and turn the heat back on for a couple cold mornings in April. So so that's why I'm all bundled up here and I'm sitting there. Actually, it's not too bad. It's 62 in here, but one of the things I do love about DCRTV is all the cool people I get to meet and all the cool things they send me. Look what somebody got. This is cool, isn't it? Teddy Kennedy glossy with his signature on it. Isn't that cool? I'm trying to decide what to do with this. I'll probably get a frame and stick it up somewhere. I like Teddy. I do like Teddy. I mean, no more Chappaquiddick jokes. Okay, I realize that. He's not a perfect person, granted, but he was a great guy, and my dad loved him. Big fan of the Kennedys, and I'm thinking about what to do with this. Maybe I know what I'll do. I'll give it as a gift to Chris Plante. Yeah, he'd like it. I'm sure Chris Plante would like this in his WMAL. Where's his office at WMAL? It's probably like the men's room stall. One of the men's room stalls. That's his little office there with his little old-fashioned typewriter. Chris Plante back there. And maybe we can put this up on the wall. Give him some inspiration. I don't know. Oi, Kavoikia. Okay, so what's going on? I get audio clips.
WNEW News Time, 5:55. Time for sports, sponsored by Jägermeister. Here's Pete Medhurst at 106.7 The Fan.
Okay, the audio continues.
Let's see if we can get Pete Medhurst.
Oh, God.
Breaking news now on WNEW.
Just to update you, we are learning more about the 6 o'clock news conference that's going to be held today by the special prosecutor in the Trayvon Martin case. A law enforcement official says the shooter, George Zimmerman, will be charged with second-degree murder and is in custody. The official with knowledge of the case, this is according to the Associated Press, says the charge against 28-year-old George Zimmerman will be announced. The official says he's in custody, but in Florida, but he would not say where. The official spoke on condition of anonymity. Let's try again and see if we can find Pete Medhurst.
Pete, where are you, Pete?
Sports.
Pete, where are you?
Well, apparently we're just going to have to wait for sports.
Pete Medhurst, abducted by aliens. He's now living on the planet Pluto. Well, Pluto's no longer a planet, is it? I don't know. You got to wonder. Honestly, I listen to WNEW. I do Flip 99.1 on my car every now and then, and it's okay. I like having extra traffic. If I miss WTOP's traffic on the 8s and it's top of the hour or something, and I'm in a backup and I want to know what's going on, I'll put on WNEW and hear their traffic. So I'm occasionally on the station, and I don't have great complaints with it, but you got to say, this is what, third month after launch, getting up, and this is prime time, this is afternoon drive on, what was that, Wednesday, and they're still doing cock-ups. They got it. I don't know. The interesting thing is, the big news that we reported yesterday was that WTOP, longtime all-newser here in Washington, had reported $64 million worth of ad revenue billed in 2011. Now, that's a humongous amount for one radio station. In fact, the top stations in New York, a CBS All-Newser, billed like $48 million. And you were talking about a market that's 3 times bigger than Washington. the DC market has about 4 million people in it. The New York market has like 17, 18 million people in it. I mean, it's 3-4 times bigger. And you're talking about a major radio station in that market billing less than what WTOP bills, what one station in the Washington market bills. Now, the thing is, WTOP is in a special case, I think, because it manages to snag those huge defense contractor ads that are geared to the federal government. There's advocacy ads, okay? And these companies, as you know, the whole political system in the United States is bollocksed up. And one of the reasons is because of tremendous amount of spendings by PACs and these groups, defense contractors and stuff. So you have this small cadre of media here in Washington that really cover the Capitol Hill power players that just get a ton of money. And that's what All Britain has plugged into with its Politico newspaper and The Hill and Roll Call and stuff like that. And the TOP, the brilliance of WTOP and their management has been to go after this money. And so they get a good chunk of that defense contractor advocacy advertisement ad money. And that's what makes their revenue go up like it does. And the fact that they're consistently the top rated station in the market doesn't hurt. So, it's not so much how big your audience is, it's how many power players are in the audience. That's my theory, at least for DCRTV. I don't care if I have 20 million people coming on the site every day or 20,000. It's the power players. It's the movers and shakers at the FCC and the politicos. That's who we want, right? Yeah, but I'd like to see General Dynamics buy a nice big ad spread on DCRTV. You will. You'll reach some of those movers and shakers, defense contractors. But anyhow, so that's the amazing thing. The other interesting thing is that when you look at the entire revenue, ad revenue in the Washington market, it's $255 million last year. And TOP alone was a quarter of that, 25% for one station. Now you look at the Washington market and you go, okay, there's like 40, 50 radio stations in this market, but I'm counting only 20 or so that are the major commercial stations, okay? There's about 18 or 20 radio stations in this market that get 98% of the audience, and they're commercial stations. I'm not counting WMAL and WBTA because they don't have ads, but those are the major commercial stations in the market. WBIG and DC 101 and WMAL and JFK and Elzol and stations like that. Mix 107.3. You take those 18 to 20 other commercial radio stations, and they divide that 70% remaining ad revenue. All of the 20 stations divide that. So WTOP stands alone with that giant $64 million ad revenue build, and the other stations scramble for the rest. You can see the logic behind what CBS is doing with WNEW, starting up another all-newser in the market. You can see the logic there. If we can just get 10, 15, 20% of WTOP's, ad pool, we'd be in really good shape. That's what they're thinking. And I think it's a good solid move. Yeah, I can understand. CBS, even though they're doing, 35th place with WNEW in the latest ratings, in a year, maybe they'll be up to 20th place, and it's, that big pile of ad revenue dough is just so tempting. Somebody's got to go after it. I would say who's in a better position to go after that is Cumulus, which owns WMAL, but Cumulus just doesn't get it. They just don't get it. If you're going to make WMAL go after TOP's revenue, you got to up WMAL, okay? Make it a better news station. Bring a better mix of political opinion on it. Right now, it's a cheap shit station. It's plugged into the satellite most of the day. It doesn't even have an afternoon drive local show. The morning show is stumbling. It's a crappy station. It truly is. The reason it's 17th is because most people in the Washington market listen to it and go, this station is a pile of crap. And it is. But yet, that station is probably in a better position right now, if you look at everything, because they do have a pretty good signal that's at least near the Beltway and not 20 miles outside of the Beltway like WNEW, to go after TOP's revenue. But the boneheads over there for years, they don't know what they're doing, and they still don't know what they're doing. That station, I don't know. It just needs a whole new bunch of managers over there. I don't think Sam Rogers, who used to be at CBS, who I don't think, even when he was at CBS, the radio stations over there weren't getting great ratings. I don't know what the heck he's going to do at Cumulus, but they need to take MAL and they need to afternoon drive, live show. Better morning drive, live show. Instead of having boobs like Chris Plante, they need to have more intelligent talkers, like possibly bring back Ron Smith. Channel him from the heavens. Somebody like that. Chris Core, maybe. I don't know. They need some intelligent people on that station, local, and news, and really go after TOP. But, hey, what do I know? All right, folks. That's about it. That's all I was going to say today. Thank you. Teddy. And so, there.